So guys, I still don't have headphones, but today we are watching Pseudiom, Dead Internet Theory. The internet is empty. Esoteric internet. This sounds right up my alley. I've heard of the dead internet theory. I've never had any context really placed behind it besides that the internet is essentially like you think about most of the apps you use, and most of those mainstream apps are like the apps that everyone kind of uses, and then everything else on the internet is pretty much just dead. And if it's not dead, it's just like there. There's something funny about the dead internet theory that I want to talk about with the Dolores Cannon video that I did, that not everybody is real here. There's non-playable characters, NPCs or automatons, whatever you would like to say. And isn't that funny that the dead internet theory is essentially emulating, in a sense, that experience as well? Is that the fact that there are people here who are conscious players, and that there are basically free guys running around. But then Free Guy was a case. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but yeah. So anyways, let's get into this. Shout out to Pseudiom. If you want me to take down my video, brother, I don't mind. Or basically I should be saying not react to any more of your videos. I don't mind. Let's get into this video. Let's go. So again, guys, I don't have my headphones, so we're going to be listening like through my microphone, and we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully it's not too bad, but I want to get these videos out, so I'm going to make it happen. All right, guys, let's hit it.
The internet is dead. Nobody killed it, which is good, but it's also undead, which is bad.
Nobody killed it, but it's also undead, which is bad. You know, I'm gonna listen to that part and see what the audio sounds like, and if it's like not easy to listen to, I'm gonna figure something out. Okay, it doesn't sound too bad. I'm gonna do one more test. It's gonna make it a little bit annoying. Nah, should be all right. Let's see. I added on my filters for the microphone and everything. Like, just I got the Snowball. Man, I love this. Or not Snowball, Yeti. This mic, I grew up with this mic, dude. I love it.
Interesting theory has circulated around 4chan's X-board and other image boards recently. It's a fascinating, if extreme, idea. The dead internet theory. A belief that the internet has entered a state of automated cultural technological stagnation. Or to quote the theory's thesis, large proportions of the supposedly human-produced content on the internet are actually generated by artificial intelligence networks in conjunction with paid secret media influencers in order to manufacture consumers for an increasing range of newly normalized cultural products.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to let this be a clip, and then the rest is going to be a recording. I'm not going to cut anymore. But, okay, so large proportions, reading it again to internalize it a little bit more. Large proportions of the supposedly human-produced content on the internet are actually generated by artificial intelligence networks in conjunction with paid secret media influencers in order to manufacture consumers for an increasing range of newly normalized cultural products. Dead internet theory. Most of the internet is fake. From Agora Rhodes Macintosh Cafe. You know, I could see this. Oh, did I actually say in the beginning where I heard the dead internet theory from? Well, let me end this clip and I'll begin it in the next clip. Okay, so I need, oh man, I forgot to, wow, damn, sorry. It's all good. So I heard this theory from Infinite Waters Ralph when he covered a video on it, essentially that most of the internet is just this kind of like, even it had to do even with bot comments. Like, have you ever seen those comments that have an X, or that have like 5 million subscribers, but then they have no content? Though I think you can lump those accounts in this, or at least draw a string and a thumbtack to an original, idea, which is the dead internet theory. Because That is essentially something that makes no freaking sense, dude. And I actually seen a Minecraft YouTuber a long time ago touch on something like this, saying that not exactly that it he was like this, but made some, like, to me, compelling points about dream and industry plants and, artificial intelligence networks in conjunction with secret paid media or secret media influencers. Because I'm not, like, I don't want to say anything, but yeah. And it would be in order to manufacture consumers for an increasing range of newly normalized cultural products. If it was essentially Minecraft or something like that, I mean, it's not a new product, but raising the love for Minecraft's not necessarily bad or whatever uh it is in a sense. But essentially that's what that's why I need a drink. That's why hopefully you got what I was saying. That cough just took me out of flow. But essentially that was his point, was that it was something to do with, being an industry plant. Because industry plants are there to push some sort of agenda. So let's continue. We're only 41 seconds in, but this is what I do, ladies and gentlemen. Transformation. All right, let's continue.
A little theoretical, but the idea makes sense. Now, this is an image board theory by anons, so bizarre and extreme points to show up in it, often bordering on schizophrenia. But this is a body of research over 2 decades that substantiates the theory to a degree. The internet has been hollowed out by algorithms, social media, and bots. Maybe calling it dead is an exaggeration, but the title is hyperbole. Compared to 10 years ago, the internet feels empty, hollow like a balloon filled with air. The surface appears massive, but there's nothing in there. A sea that is a mile wide but an inch deep. It's not a process of enclosure and sanitation, though it goes hand in hand with that, but something different. The elements of human creativity are being quietly pulled out and replaced with pure artificiality.
Mm-hmm.
The modern internet, in certain terms, is dead, as in what was once human has withered away. The normal user is shoved ever deeper into a Skinner box of shadows.
Yeah, I'm going to let it continue. I'm not going to pause too much because I can become the yapper. So I'm going to relax on that. But what are you saying right now? Hell yes. What I also wanted to pause for. Love the Terraria music. I'm personally a guy who has too many hours in that game.
In his 2001 white paper on the deep web, Michael K. Bergman described the philosophical problem of the internet as what cannot be seen cannot be defined, and what is not defined cannot be understood. Such has been the case with the importance of databases to the information content of the web.
What cannot be seen cannot be defined, and what is not defined cannot be understood. I have something about this quote.
As databases have grown larger and ever more complicated, this problem has only increased. Now it's also applied to everything else. It's time to perform an autopsy on the internet's bloated corpse.
Pseudiom.
The dead internet theory, which cohered on 4chan's X board around the end of 2020, start of 2021, is massive. It spans one long post and several supplementary threads, but it can be boiled down to 9 or 10 major points. For simplicity, the arguments alone will be focused on here. It's an argument that the internet is largely artificial, if not outright fake. The anonymous poster's points boil down to these. 1. People seemingly cease to exist on the internet at random. Identities emerge, then vanish. The people behind them, if any, are never known. Even close friends on the internet have a habit of ceasing to exist after a few years. Now, it is the internet, but why leave so suddenly? Perhaps nobody was behind these profiles to begin with? 2, certain content seems to be recycled or repeated on the internet. It's
Friends disappear out of nowhere? Interesting, I suppose. Trying to think about that. Like, the people in your recommended, when like apps try to recommend you to follow people or something like that. That one's a little bit hard to follow for me. Well, I could understand, but it's like, I essentially, we'll come back to that one.
obvious on websites like 4chan, Twitter, and Reddit. Posters will always bring up the same topics and images. These same points start the same controversies over and over. It happens because it gets reactions and bumps threads, but this repeats endlessly, seemingly always belaboring the same things again and again. 3. The same news stories occur again and again. A similar issue to number 2, but with mainstream independent news sources. The same things seem to happen every few years. It feels like reality is fetching the same set of news stories to repeat ad nauseum. Now,
Programming, because your mind is programmed by repetition. So yeah, or it's one of the ways. It's programmed by symbols, repetition, and trauma. So yeah, they do this. They for sure do this. It's like also, essentially, I don't know the term too much, so I don't like saying it, but like fear mongering, where a lot of the news stories are not really tailored to being positive things. And honestly, I would say like local news is a little bit different. I remember we had this like current events sort of opening to our classrooms where we would, like, if everybody would watch the news the next day, then come in and kind of answer questions. Or it was a fun way to like interact with the teacher and the student more like outside of school, more than care about what was actually on the news. For me, at least, that was my experience with it, because I didn't wake up and give a shit what they, were talking about on the news. I woke up more in the feeling like I just want to get these questions right. Is that little like validation? I was like, I want to get this right. And so, but yeah, once you pay attention, like I haven't watched the news like legit in years, man. It has to be years, dude. But essentially, you look at the headlines, and all the headlines seem generated. Like, and I'm pretty sure they are generated. Like, I mean, one story talks about, say somebody got into a car crash, and it was like with one of those oil carrying trucks or something, and then 4 cars caught in the explosion. It'll literally be like one drunk driver falls asleep, hits oil truck, 4 dead. Oil truck hit by a drunk driver, 4 people caught in collision, dead. And it's just like, yeah. And not to say that different news sources and different, just like different avenues of where the information is going to come down are not going to title it the same, but it almost feels bot-like. You know what someone means when they say that. It's just something you resonate, like you feel it. It feels artificial. It doesn't feel normal.
People are boring, but its culture is stuck on a few points. 4. A sense of literal internet nomadic evolution or digital predestination. Everything on the internet seems to move towards a certain point in retrospect. Anon in the post traces a direct lineage from the Overraptor Jesus memes to the bizarre chaos magic importance of Pepe the Frog to the now dozens of splinter cults of cartoon frog image macros. A subpoint to this is the sensation each website exists to condition certain segments of the digital population. 4chan's hackers on steroids were guided by intelligence operations from Cabo hotel raids to that one-time Pol Syria general thread that helped coordinate a military strike in Syria. The founders of these websites rarely factor in and either disappear into the background or simply wither away. 5. The increase of sexual perversion on the internet. The internet has always been for porn, but there seems to be more nowadays. Probably actually is. Every fetish exists and is catered to somewhere. Cannot go too deep into this one because, well, frankly, I just don't want to. 6. Algorithmic fiction. One of the more extreme positions of the theory that all mass-marketed entertainment, movies, music, books, is generated by algorithms or AIs. It's a modern version of Roald Dahl's The Great Automatic Romanticizer. All fiction is produced by machines, which can only create a lifeless imitation. According to the theory, only anime is exempt from this because it's from an anime image board. 7. Entire sections of the world are fake. People, events, and places are all deepfakes. Wikipedia allows...
I love how you put in parentheses online, but you know what's funny? Is if people say that America is such a testing ground for stuff, or America's not a real place, or this, and that, how could you say that this is not necessary? Like, well, for the case of this, he's saying online, but I believe this. Like this, essentially, you can be being told anything. So it's just, yeah, man. Like they even lie about how big each continent is. So it's just like the real scale and sheer size of each one. They lie about how big Texas is. So, somebody just subscribed. Thank you. That's on YouTube. That came from YouTube's thing. So that's pretty cool.
Entire biographies, cities, and historical events to be conjured out of thin air. It's impossible to prove since the internet exists in an omnipresent present. There's no past or future, really. You just exist. 8.
That's reality itself, too. Funny
Internet
enough.
on the computer and smartphones is different. Are different? Essentially true with desktop and mobile phones.
I felt him on that. Is different. Are different?
But this theory takes it further. These websites are too different. Each one, smartphone and computer, has completely different content when compared to the other one. You just have to pay attention. 9. Tech CEOs are totally aware of this and manipulate it against one another for unknown goals. The internet is a battlefield of fake people fighting fake wars. AI systems already rule. So simple, right?
Kind of crazy. That one, whoa. Some of these are like esoteric concepts for real. I get it. Esoteric internet. Whoa.
There are
but that essentially is...
in points.
I'm not going to go that deep.
4chan's paranormal board, so it is going to be off kilter. Yet, it is closer to reality than may seem. Studies over the past 20 years indicate the internet may be deader than most think. It may have been this way since essentially the start. Start with the average user of the internet. An idea Harold Weinrich and Hartmut Obendorf's 2006-2008 study, not quite the average, an empirical study of web use, warns researchers away from with the statement, one has to be careful when speaking of the average user of the web. The Weinrich and Obendorf study is an empirical look on how users interact with web pages. And as far as I can tell, it's the most recent study of its type, though now 15 years out of date. Not quite the average's age is a boon, though, because it examines the pre-social media internet. The actual study was performed in 2006, which was 1 or 2 years before services like Twitter and Facebook really took off. These statistics then, if anything, have likely fallen as quicker, snappier text has fried web users' attention spans. What does it say about the 2006 to 2008 period, then? Weinrich and Obendorf observed users are divided into 2 browsing styles, navigate and explore. The navigation style was those seeking a certain web page, or people who navigated towards one source from search results. The exploratory style is exactly what it says. Exploratory users were interested in exploring web pages, sifting through search results, and examining links. Though, as web pages have become more centralized around a central column of text, this exploratory style has probably decreased to some degree. The most common navigation actions, according to the study, were hyperlink clicks at 52% of clicks, back button clicks at 41% of clicks,
What are back
and the other 7 being other archival actions like printing. Though later revisions suggest clicking on page buttons replaced the back button for the second most common action a couple of years later, none of these statistics appear to have varied much by navigation style. Similar with what the study discovered about location of click frequency, almost half, 45%, of user clicks occurred in the upper left quadrant of the web page. Pre-2007 websites favored hyperlinks in the upper left of the screen. Social media then has likely realigned this to the center of the screen, but it's probably still true to some degree. What does all this technical interaction have to do with net quality, though? It is in how much users read. That 79% of our test users always scanned any new page they came across. Only 16% read word by word. Even for 2006, 2008, that was not a comforting statistic. Not that scanning is inherently bad, you needed to pick up quick information, but another contemporary statistic does not improve the situation. In 2008, the Nielsen Group published the article, How Little Do Users Read, in direct response to the Not Quite the Average study. The Nielsen article found how much users read is highly variable by small word counts. The study concluded users generally only read at most 28% of the words during an average visit, but 20% is more likely on an average web page of 593 words. This percentage does fall with the increase of word count as well, and this was for experienced users too, so people who just take a quick look at the internet are likely even lower. The general conclusion of these studies is that the average internet user does not read that much of what they see on the internet.
You know, honestly, what I'll say to that, to make just a funny joke, is I believe that to be true. I believe that this translates also into videos, so let me take this time to rant about something. I will make a video, commentary or something else, mostly well received by people, and even my normal videos that people send me to watch. But essentially, they will comment after watching 2 minutes of the video. I think this all ties into attention span also, and just these like preconceived, I don't actually know what it is. It's like they hear something that they don't like that you say, and they'll completely turn off your video and make a comment that is out of a left field with what you were creating and talking about. And the same goes for blogs or information that you can gather. Like, you need full context to things. So this is very interesting. You know, because I always, when I see these like percentages and general studies and the data we've gathered, I always go, damn, I feel like I'm the exception all the time, because they're talking about this in a broader sense. But then there's already certain things that I believe about reality, like backdrop people, and I'm like, how much of this data matters though? Or is it just like a fun thing to find out, right? It ties into the dead internet theory, but that just made me think about that. Essentially, is like people, this is very true. Like people really don't do their research. Like they don't do, I've had dudes like completely call me out for hating a certain medium. And if they literally watched through the entire video and got all context of what I said, they would realize I don't hate something, or I don't like, and it's not really bad. It doesn't, offend me, but it just makes me question, like, I don't know. It makes me question things, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Essentially, this reading thing does tie into that whole thing, that people just don't go out of their way. Like, why are you watching a video anyways? You got to see it all the way through to see if you like. Not all the time. Like, you can watch a video to see if you don't like it. But essentially what I'm saying is, I got distracted. I don't remember where I left off at that point. Had to answer the moms. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like that reading thing correlates into that too. It's like, you can tell from a video if you're going to like it or not. But if you're going to comment, like critiquing or saying something on a certain type of thing, you need full context. Read everything and read it again, listen to it again, and really understand. Some people just jump the gun ready to just fucking smoke you, bro.
Everything on the internet looks the same. Marshall McLuhan's old adage that the medium is the message. But to explain, the Nielsen Group was able to conclude why the internet looks the way it does all the way back in September 1997 due to this. Readability. It's all about readability. Remember old personal web pages and early corporate websites? The internet used to look a lot more experimental, but homogenization conquers all. What won the internet was simplicity, concise text, scannable layout, and objective language. Nielsen's article, How Users Read on the Web, makes why this standardization occurred incredibly clear. The web pages that survived the digital Darwinian thinning process employed scannable text. Things like highlighted keywords, meaningful subheadings, bulleted lists, one idea per paragraph, an inverted pyramid style of writing that starts with the conclusion, and half the word count of conventional writing, so less than what you see in the book. The central column alignment of writing cohered to this, an optimized orientation. Articles have evolved into the apex predators of marketability. Okay, so the internet evolved so people would read it more, but maybe only between 16 and 28% actually do, depending on one's interpretation of read. What about what's on the web? There seems to be plenty of content, right? There is, but the whole story is a lot more bizarre. Follow along, it's complicated to explain. Google simply stops at some point, or it appears to stop. Call it the Google conundrum. If a user searches a topic, the amount of estimated results will shrink as they navigate to the end of the search pages. What should be thousands of pages of results for millions of results is reduced to only a couple dozen pages, at most, even with omitted results. It simply stops. You shall not pass. Is Google lying, attempting to make the internet seem deeper
than it is?
No, the number is an estimate.
The number is an
estimate.
estimate.
Is just hidden from you. As Google explains, in addition, when you click on the next page of search results, the total number of search results can change.
But see, the same could be true, dude. But it could be true because that's still I'm gonna get some context on what he's about to say before I say this.
In this case, we realize that some of the query results are duplicates, and collapse those duplicates so that you can find the specific result you're looking for more easily. Collapsing the duplicates decreases the estimated number of results as well as the overall number of results pages. What Google? Okay,
and then we realize that some of the query are duplicates and we collapse them so you can find specific results you're looking for. That makes sense. So never mind. What I was gonna say, if like they didn't have an explanation for this, that at least makes sense to me. Like, and even if I would still like question it a little bit, but like because this makes so much sense for why the number was so big, but at the same time, is it necessary that the number has to be there? I don't know how to code myself. My stepdad is a master man, made his own website. He made his own websites, but I don't fully know because right, okay. When you click then on the next page of search results, the total number of search results can change. In this case, we realize so it collapses. All right. But that first initial number, does it have to show you that? I don't know. That's my question.
What Google is doing is collapsing duplicate, fake, and useless results.
Makes sense. That's actually good.
You can see this if you search the name of this YouTube channel, which I, of course, assume you are subscribed to. Wink, wink.
You can do this with mine, too. I want to kind of look at it. All right, you guys ready?
Channel.
What did Pseudiom have? 10,000? This is 2 years ago? Why do I have so many search results? What the hell? Okay, see, I searched myself and I very quickly realized that I literally doxed myself because the bottom of Google shows your address. I didn't know. Shows your general address.
You can see this
but very closely.
This YouTube channel, which I, of course, assume you are subscribed to. Wink, wink. Most of the results are only...
See right there, from New York. He's from New York, too. Wow.
A lot of automated phishing web pages with barely related topics about my videos. What one has not seen in most search results is the amount of useless data in temporary web pages that would exist in them. It makes the internet appear shallow when it's mostly just junk. Search engines, Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, only trawl the surface of the net. They spider or crawl the web by spitting out results from links and similarities between web pages. Though how this happens varies by website and company, so the service may be different depending. Back in 2006, not quite the average found 98% of Google's search results were updated after 7 days or more. For example, where is everything else? Hidden behind the curtain. What search engines do not index
is that the iceberg?
Locally as the deep web. The deep web is the rest of the internet that cannot be easily accessed by search engines. It's mostly useless data, orphaned web pages, and mirrored websites. Sometimes with
orphan web pages in what context? Because deep web is
legal content. Hard statistics will always be blurry on it, but some statistics do place the content.
What song did he put for this one? The Underground Crimson. What a good choice.
Entire internet at being around 4% surface web versus 96% deep web, but that number may be updated.
This number seems to be an educated guess or urban legend. I can't find any exact studies that support it.
Today, for example...
See, I could believe it, though, because like I said earlier, with the apps that you use, think about how much of the internet you don't access. I don't know if the number would be that big for the deep web. Like, really? Like, the deep web is that... That number's staggering, bro. That's like literally 4% is, I would assume, right? That 4% is YouTube, Twitch, Upwork, Fiverr, things like that, Twitter, like these things that are like in a bubble that you know people use or interact with daily, but then everything outside of that realm is deep web. That's nuts.
Example, Google indexes an estimated 5.27 billion web pages, but that also changes by the minute. In his original 2001 white paper on the deep web, Michael K. Bergman estimated, back in 2000, that search engines were only indexing about 1 in every 3,000, 0.03% of web pages available to them, an astounding drop from 32% of the internet catalog in 1998 to 16% in 1999 to around 4% or less today. A result of the deep web's unlimited growth potential as link rot, the death of hyperlinks to sources, withers older web pages away into orphaned obscurity. Though, as Bergman warned about this, there is no bright line that separates content sources on the web. There are circumstances where deep content can appear on the surface, and especially with specialty search engines, when surface content can appear to be deep.
As above, so below.
The internet is always undergoing a state of natural electric rot due to link rot, so slowly falling into the deep web essentially, but often humans cannot see beyond their tools. It is doubtless the algorithms behind search engines define what the internet is to most casual users. Algorithms now dominate search engines, social media, and yes, even YouTube. Algorithm processes, by now, have near total control of every major website. Somewhat disconcerting, as Robert Kowalski defined the most basic definition of algorithm as logic plus control. Users are fish, and the algorithm is the water. A common observation is algorithms have near totally captured, and to some degree, quarantined off digital culture. A common accusation being algorithms have caused the perceived stagnation of digital culture, and thus the entirety of online culture. Algorithms are so distrusted because they serve as the internet's black boxes. A mechanism taking on the
black boxes, Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna.
With little definition of what it is or does. Companies like Google and Facebook keep their algorithms as question marks to maintain market domination. A cracked or obvious algorithm endangers profit as it can be exploited or circumvented.
That just made me think, I was in a Clubhouse meeting where it was like Keemstar, Mr. Beast, and a second in command at YouTube or something like that. And I remember him saying like, we don't know how the algorithm sort of works, but of course you would, like, I don't know why I didn't think that like back then, like it was when I was like maybe 19 or 20, but I remember you would that would literally just be like, that would literally just be like you're what the hell is it? You're saying that to keep it a secret, but they've said it's like a beast that they've let go. But yeah, like like a trade secret, business secret sort of thing. I don't want to say trade secret, but like like the Coca-Cola recipe or something being locked in vaults.
For described in What Are Algorithmic Cultures, it threatens the Googleplex, internet megagiant's dominance or near monopoly on cultural creation and curation. Granted, the Googleplex concept in theory is not new. Culture critic Neil Postman coined the term technopoly back in the early 90s to describe a similar issue at the time. Postman's definition was developed pre-mass internet adoption, but it still diagnoses a common enough problem to apply now. Postman's theory that, in technological society, the idea of if something could be done, it must be done, has replaced all concrete theory. Culture has been captured by the technopoly, which, as Postman defined it, is the submission of all forms of cultural life to the sovereignty of technique and technology. The core idea of technopoly is progress for progress's sake, without moral or even political direction.
Oof.
There is no such thing as value in itself, as the technopoly replaces all theory with the fetish of optimization. The internet has been optimized into a lobotomized state, as Roberge Safer described the fetishization of optimization through algorithms. That is to say, the fulfillment of the stream is always one step away from its completion. There is always only one more algorithm yet to be implemented. In other words, it is only such constant algorithmic misalignments that explain the existence of promises and hopes of a smooth algorithmic functionality. Sound familiar? Replace optimization with pointless updates, needless aesthetic changes, and bizarre technical choices that break social media and websites every year.
Not gonna say it.
True believers in technopoly see a purpose behind these things, while cynical developers use it to justify their salaries. The idea of good enough for a website or service makes developers redundant. From Adobe's subscription model to the new Twitter timeline and new Reddit format, to even YouTube's talks about removing the dislike button, a feature you can literally turn off, tech giants are obsessed with the concept of the update. Update in abstract.
Wait, what?
Tech giant for a website or service makes developers redundant. From Adobe's subscription model to the new Twitter timeline and new Reddit format, to even YouTube's talks about removing the dislike button, a feature you can literally turn off.
You can turn this feature off? How? Okay, so I watched the tutorial. You can turn off likes and dislikes, but I didn't find anything. It's only been one search, but I didn't find anything that said you can turn this back on to see who's disliking. You can only turn likes off too. So, I mean, essentially it evens it out, basically. So, yeah, I don't know.
Tech giants are obsessed with the concept of the update. Update in abstract. User experience seems a secondary thought against buzzwords like modern and innovative. Ironically enough, the effort for a perfect website has destroyed all trust in these websites. A large segment of users have no trust in these massive universal websites because the second they grow accustomed to them, they change. Roberge Safer called this concept the somewhat unnerving term of algorithmic production of trust. It obviously no longer exists because, looking at their definition, in turn, users need to believe that their counterparts are real, ergo, they need to trust the social media platform they are using. Thus, the algorithmic production of trust is one of the most important mechanisms of social media platforms. People do not trust the platforms, nor, for the most part, each other, or they trust too much. What about other websites and forums? Why not those? Yes, there are obviously other places on the internet beside the 5 or 7 major social media websites.
Mm-hmm.
One could discuss the scattered forms remaining, but social media has produced a rural-urban divide online. I mean, literally online, in digital culture. To explain, social media has a digital brain drain effect. What has occurred online is comparable to the industrial revolutions of the early 1800s, or, as the English poet William Blake described it, these dark satanic mills. Social media websites are the urban centers or factories that consume the digital human capital of the online countryside. Forms are ruined, personal websites forgotten, and profiles packed up as users mass migrate to a few central hubs. There they face...
I realize I'm sitting so still, bro. Sorry, guys. I'm just so invested. I'll be looking so you can see my eyes.
Standardization to what can only be called the internet's metropolitan culture based around YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr, and other major sites. The immigrants from these smaller internet cultures then have to redefine themselves to fit each website's policy. Certain cultural traits remain among subcommunities and ghettos, but they too are slowly homogenized and grow distant from their origins.
Wow.
A standardized internet language is laundered. Their shibboleths and image macros are integrated into the wider populace and usually sanitized in general forms. What about that populace then? Really, nothing definite can be said about the internet populace overall, even though it skews younger, is probably not true anymore, if it was ever actually true. It's impossible to say how many people actually use the internet. In 2012, a hacker estimated there were 1.3 billion global IP addresses, but that is not equivalent to users at all. It would be like saying the global population equals the number of vehicles in existence. Current estimates peg it at around 4.66 billion users, but that is only a ballpark.
What's that what he just said? Is that what's crazy is there's enough cars, enough space, and enough houses to actually help like homeless people and for everyone to have their own car. Not saying any like communist thoughts or anything like that, but essentially it's such a weird level of existence when you think of things like this. That's it. Just some food for thought. It's really weird to me.
Number. In 2006, 2007, Jay Leskovic and E. Horvitz used data from Microsoft Messenger's instant messaging system to estimate the links or 6 degrees of separation between people. Turns out, online at least, there are only about 6 people separating everyone online, 6.6 to be exact. This may be why the internet often seems so small, as it selects for an exact population, then algorithms funnel these people into groups which persist across websites, or just some form of subconscious group preference. Or, as they described in planetary scale views on an instant messaging network, social networks have been found to be highly transitive, i.e., people with common friends tend to be friends themselves. That's all sort of obvious, though. Look at the actual content of social media then, to see how distorted this dead web can be.
Why you just beam him with that, bro?
Twitter. According to Pew Research Center...
I stayed the hell off of X.
19, about 22% of American adults use Twitter, down from about 23% in 2018, but that was also up from 20% in 2016. I do not expect it has changed much in the past 2 years. Though today, 17%, 1 in 5, adults are smartphone-only internet users, implying they largely only access the internet through apps.
Whoa.
Twitter's problem is it is far from representative of the actual American and global population. In a 2019 study where American adults volunteered their Twitter accounts, they had to directly connect themselves to it, so no anonymous accounts here. Pew Research Center found the top 10% of US Twitter users compose about 80% of tweets. That highly active 10% of users is about 65% female, 69% say they tweet about politics, and generally lean left liberal. This highly engaged segment tweets about 138 times a month, compared to the astounding 2 times per month the other 90% do. By now, it's obvious Twitter has an amplifying effect on the top 10% since they produce the most content, as engagement equals attention equals advertising money. Or
why'd he just show Cthulhu on that phone? Why'd you have to show the octopus? Otherworld extracted soundtrack Enchanted Blue Ocean, and my man showed the ocean. What a man, I feel like some of this is just poetic.
Twitter doesn't make money. At least in regards to non-anonymous accounts, Twitter's system launders jokes/ideas by a simple social model. PR Chamberlain developed the listener-talker hub model of Twitter to explain how information is transferred across the website. It could also be called something like the spoke and wheel model. Hubs are users/accounts that act as the main disseminators of information, largely influencers or that top 10% of tweeters. What spokes off from the hubs are talkers and listeners. Hubs are accounts which repeat and transmit between or against other users. Listeners are those accounts who engage little and often only seem to follow or listen. Talkers are those that make the conversation, though, and hubs echo it. Information usually flows outwards from the talkers or conversation makers. Twitter then is basically a one-way conversation happening over millions of people. Target or control hub users, and you control the flow of information. Target talkers, and you control the content of discussion.
Yeah.
How genuine is that conversation?
Not really genuine.
Probably not very.
Yeah.
Social pressure and gossip of the day are Twitter. Back in Twitter.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah.
Twitter's early days, Nielsen observed an actual social contagion effect in regards to the H1N1 swine flu virus. On April 24th, 2009, references to the H1N1 virus made up only 0.2% of tweets.
14 days after my birthday. 14 days after my birthday.
The next day, April 25th, it was 2% of all tweets on the website. What about bots, though? Do those impact the conversation?
You on
that
YouTube?
Is much harder to prove. Here are Twitter's own numbers on that problem. Trust them as you will.
Yeah, I knew it.
The 2015 annual report claimed 240 million monthly active users. But Twitter
240 million active users.
said that there were 10 million non-genuine, note the term, user.
Non-genuine. I would like to see this on YouTube. I'm sure everyone would like to see it with Instagram and all those PORN bots, man. Those things run rampant, bro.
Fake accounts, duplicates, and bots. So about 4.5% of the website's population in 2013 were fake, depending on how you define fake.
Yeah.
So, has the fourth industrial revolution left the internet an actual Android warehouse then? Once again, it's hard to say, but take a look at Reddit. Reddit's voting system, though not unique to Reddit, has long been accused of creating false, easily fudgeable consensus. Positive feedback, seeing number go up, encourages repetition of content and opinions guaranteed to generate the greatest rewards possible. Involuntary self-optimization. The pool of 430 million monthly active users means returns are rarely diminishing, and because how Reddit's front page works. Reddit's system flaws have been talked to death, but, like with Twitter, who is using that system? Reddit users are worthless. Not being cruel here, it's economically true. Back in 2019, Reddit's ARPU...
It's such a weird headline. Reddit users are the least valuable of any social network. Like, if you let that personally get you, that is such a negative, like, I mean, if you take, like, okay, if it's an objective view where it's like, it's a statistic, but, dude, like, that's, for me, I wouldn't even take it personal like that. I just want to use Reddit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's weird. That's such a weird headline. Why not, like, Reddit users are the least, you could just change the wording. Reddit users are the least generative users on social networks. Reddit itself is not an area where a lot of content is being generated from. I don't know. You could find a way.
Average revenue per user was believed to be about 30 cents. So
Oh, yeah. See, so I was going to say, like, Reddit doesn't really generate that much like
is
money.
apparently about 30 cents.
He said your soul is about 30 cents.
Per user was believed to be about 30 cents. So the average Redditor soul is apparently about 30 cents.
The original Redditors sold or soul?
About 30 cents. So the average Redditor soul is apparently about 30 cents.
That's that's foul.
Compared to Twitter's of $9.
This is auto-generated, right? Yeah, but I think he said soul, dude.
About
I
50
knew.
cents, and Snapchat's of around $2. Why is that? Reddit's user base slants young and male, so less money, and they use adblock. It may also be because Reddit accounts are largely disposable. Besides the username, they
Is this all good? Oh, it is. Okay.
can be pretty bare bones. A user usually does not even need to add an email address to make one. Reddit accounts probably also collect
But you have to now.
information. That can be a good or a bad thing depending on your interpretation.
Yeah.
So there is less personal data for targeted advertising. It could also be because no one knows the exact number of fake accounts. Not even Reddit. More complicated bots are hard to tag on Reddit, so an estimate is nearly impossible. One would think Reddit, being a site that requires more complicated engagement, would dissuade bots. It is a hurdle, but not always a problem. The subreddit r/subreddit simulator proves bots can mimic Reddit posters with a little logic. Once again, Reddit users' souls are apparently about 30 cents. Bot accounts powered by Markov chains, minor chains.
Wouldn't be much for a robot to replicate a 30-cent soul. Huh? That's so foul.
Which scrape from certain subreddits put on the performance of users interacting. It's mostly nonsense, but sometimes there's a monkeys on typewriters example of randomness producing something interesting. Back in October 2020 as well, Phil Winston...
One of those freaking headlines where have you ever tried to inject whiskey into your veins? What the hell?
...discovered a bot powered by the much stronger GPT-3, Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, had been posted on Ask Reddit.
I didn't know that's what that was.
It went by the username The Gentle Meter and generated a bunch of in-depth posts that received some response. Granted, it appears the creator intervened to respond to other users, but most were unaware of the original posts being by the bot. It was more proof of concept than anything. What about YouTube? It's not much better here. Faceless hordes of viewers make it even worse in some respects. Despite policies, fake views and fake subscribers still flourish on YouTube. There is very little that can actually be done due to how YouTube's impression system works. A view is a view, even if done by a bot.
Right.
Fake viewership is its own YouTube and cottage industry. In 2018, TheVoomy.com reported that they made over $1.2 million over 3 years by selling 196 million YouTube views across the platform. Facebook, in a similar fashion, has been accused and basically admitted to massively inflating view counts. That was under their own volition. It wasn't someone else faking it.
Oh, see, that's what you call the I was gonna say like industry plants and artists who all of a sudden their numbers, they'll drop a song and it'll hit like 18 billion, but like you're like sitting here wondering why this song is going viral. Yeah, man, it's a nasty practice for certain. Depending on how you what you would think it was for and blah blah blah. There's nuances.
When you realize YouTube undergoes waves of pruning, very few target view numbers though. YouTube really started removing inactive and fake accounts back in 2014, a somewhat important event in YouTube history because some channels lost an upwards of 20,000 subscribers from it, knocking them under certain subscriber goals at the time. Why the grand bot purge of 2014 though? Well, back in 2013, YouTube feared the inversion, as developers called it. What was/is the inversion? In 2013,
You put drop shadow on the.
YouTube reported that nearly half the website's traffic was bots masquerading as people. YouTube's developers feared if the percentage of bots kept increasing, YouTube's algorithm would flip. It would think bots were humans and humans were bots.
Oh look, he put the original video. Look at that guy in the background. It's like the first video on YouTube. That's a cool little Easter egg. I love this dude's editing for this video.
The algorithms would then cater to automated bots instead of human users. The bots would become the audience. Another example of algorithms' questionable nature. The inversion never happened Probably, but it was a possibility until the purges of 2014 attempted to adjust the website's mechanical organic demographics. YouTube is more the exception than the rule when it comes to this online, though. The majority of internet traffic is probably normally robots of varying types. As already covered, it's hard, if not impossible, to get numbers on internet traffic.
Yeah.
But some have attempted estimates. In 2016, the security firm Imperva reported, by their own count, 51.8% of internet traffic was bots and 48.2% was human. Basically the same as 20.
So basically there's an even split. But there would be more bots per each human. And I could honestly understand that because the whole thing with duplicates and replicating, but there's like so many people in this plane of existence. So it's just like this number is going to be like this, right? Because we're in a digital era. But this number will, for some reason, for not some reason, again, all of the stuff that he covered in the video and like the algorithms, the AI, but essentially this number would always be bigger because it could just create itself, like self-replicating code, or just keep printing itself. You essentially would get a bigger number when it came to robotic like code and things like that of that nature, because then to increase the human part of it, it would be like you have to print humans and then have them get on the internet, which you know what I mean by print.
2012 numbers, depending on source, but it varies. Most will say automated traffic accounts for between 50 to 60% depending on year. The majority of internet traffic is bots, though. The legitimate bots are those that serve a utilitarian purpose. Spider bots index/crawl websites for search engines, trading bots perform automated trades on merchant sites, and media bots perform your basic everyday video/picture loading functions.
Okay. No. So what's the illegitimate or malicious?
Malicious bots want your personal information or to burden your website. Spam bots spam. Hacker bots attempt to force access accounts for identity information.
Right.
Botnets create fake traffic. And download bots strip resources from websites.
Right.
Imperva reckoned that the difference of legitimate and malicious bots at 22.9% to 28.9% of internet bot traffic. Imperva believed
the more malicious. Wow, man. Jump back to what he said about the fake wars that people are fighting in the beginning. Jesus. I would love to just see this number be bigger, man. Good and bad are like illusions, but essentially with this, the right side being a slightly higher percentage just means like you're more likely to encounter 6% more. You're 6% more likely to encounter spam bots than to encounter ones that are, for the trading, the spider bot, blah, 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 search engine, blah, blah. So it's like, that's like a significant number in the sense that like, you really think about it, like the internet, you most of the time you're safe because there's a lot of security and like things that are involved with protecting your data, but also the same companies protecting your data sometimes are literally harvesting it. So essentially you're going to get harvested from someone. But from what this shows me, it's like you have a slight higher percentage of encountering the more malicious bots than the good side. And that's like, not alarming, but because it's slight and it's like, you're not like, it's not like necessarily like you're one click away. You guys kind of get what I'm saying?
It's the most common type is the impersonator, believed to account for 24.3% of internet traffic. Not bot traffic, internet traffic in total. Impersonators are fake accounts and those used for denial of service attacks. Yes, in the barest interpretation, 24.3% of internet traffic is fake or empty users. It's impossible.
Okay. That's kind of crazy. Because then that would mean Is it 86? I'm trying to do it right, like off the top of my head. Or no, is it lower? 76. Duh. I don't know why I did the percentage like that. Because it's literally, that's almost 1/4. Wow. Okay, dude.
Possible to say how complex or smart they are in general, though.
Hmm.
So, is the internet dead? No. Lobotomized, or maybe automated is a better term.
Yeah.
Even hollow, if one will bear the reference.
Yeah.
Speedfetcher, itself an automated bot/program, is believed to produce about 4.4% of all website traffic. That's just the thing that updates your dad's timeline on Facebook. Bots have become so bad, 18 states prohibited automated ticket purchasing software, the first 3 being right at the start of the mass internet. Wisconsin in 1995, Utah in 1996, and Alaska in 1997. In 2016, the United States even passed the Better Online Ticket Sales Act, or BOTS Act, which intended to help suppress automated mass ticket scalping. It's similar in Asia. Fake viewership and followers have become such an issue in China. The PRC, through the People's Daily, declared war on bots as a social technological issue. It's an open secret. Fake paid-for viewership is one of the pillars of the Chinese live streaming.
Yo!
Water armies, as the term apparently transliterates from Chinese. Interesting. Of fake bot accounts have been legislated against by the Chinese government. So it's not only the English internet, which is hollow. Everywhere the web faces automation until termination.
What?
Postman raised the question.
Did you see how many phones and like things that they had pulled up? What in the... That's insane, bro. What?
Will the computer raise egocentrism to the status of a virtue? Yes, it definitely has. But nobody would believe it could be so solipsistic. Tools are an outgrowth of humanity. The internet is an outgrowth of tools. So, by transitive property, the internet is an outgrowth of humanity, an outgrowth of us. Postman's forerunner, Marshall McLuhan, said electric media is simply an outgrowth of the central nervous system. The internet, then, is where everyone's nervous systems collide. The fish cannot much see the water nor notice the pool is shrinking. You swim in websites, articles, videos, and social media posts every day, but hopefully not too much, or you'll drown. Postman feared the technopoly would produce an egocentric world. But what if the internet is undergoing ego death? Not human ego, though.
Ego death.
Its own.
Wow, that was such a cool thing to end on. Pseudiom.
Ashen one.
Ashen.
Hearest thou my voice still?
That is so fire. I'm so glad he ended like that. That was so badass. Very cool YouTube channel. I'm going to keep my eye on Pseudiom. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm looking at right now. But yeah, that was very cool. What's my whole theory? I like where he sort of started to end on, because that's what I was thinking too. The internet's not necessarily dead, but it's definitely automated. Like there's like, I feel like there's a lot of just fake stuff, but it's not necessarily dead. It's very much alive, right? And dead and alive are two sides of the same coin. So, you know, I also, like when I was talking about those YouTube accounts that have like massive followings, I had a screenshot because I was going to make a video on it, but they have massive followings, like 4.1 million, this, that, and then they just go and comment on everything. How are those not bots? Like, I wonder, because is it just there's no way it's just a YouTuber who disappears out of nowhere, sells their account, and then, you know, and I don't know if YouTube even cracks down on these accounts, because, you know, I don't see them too frequently with like when it started, which that could mean there was a crackdown, but I see them every once in a while. Sometimes they get pushed out of the comments, but you see them, and then they have a video on their profile that's like, who is X, or who is this channel? Who is Cookie Master 6? Like, and it's like, yeah, what in the fuck are you? Like, what the hell? And it's not even like a disrespectful thing. It's an objective thing. I'm like, I'm really curious on what these things are, what these bots are, but nonetheless, no answers. And I've never really watched those "who is this person" video. I've watched a guy explain that these channels like have bought an account. I don't know if I truly believe all that. Of course, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm not sure entirely. Anyways, much love in Moonlight. Shout out to Pseudiom. That video was fire. This was a long one, so thank you for strapping in. I'm out.